The first person that I want to discuss is Joe Burrow. So Joe Burrow started out, I mean, he had the record-breaking contract, deservedly so, and then things started out a little rough for him this season. He had the calf injury during the offseason. He came back maybe a little bit too early, was kind of gimping around. Things weren't looking good. For the second straight years, your Bengals start kind of behind the eight ball. 0-2, things aren't looking the best. And then slowly but surely, Burrow starts to get healthy, starts to look good. Coming off of a bye week, do you think that we've got a 100% healthy Burrow? What should we expect from him?
I don't know. It's gonna be a short show, man. I have no idea. No, so Kevin and I on 3 and Out, we had both called for Joe Burrow to not start week 1.
Okay.
We wanted this team's too talented. You got Jamar Chase, you got T. Higgins, you got Tyler Boyd, arguably the best wide receiver trio in the league. You got, an offensive line they've sunk a lot of money into, bringing in Orlando Brown Jr. in the offseason. You got a good defense. And we thought the best thing would be Joe Burrow to come back when he's completely right. And the Bengals, they'll probably lose without Burrow, but the team's too talented to go 0-4, whatever it is, they didn't do that. They figured a 50% Burrow, whatever he was, is better than 100% of the next guy, which, I get the thinking. But yeah, for the second year in a row, it's 1-3 with an 0-2 start in the AFC North. And then for the second year in a row, they kind of turned things around. We said if they can get to 3-3 by the bye, then everything's okay. And that's what they did. They beat Arizona in Arizona, which it's Arizona. One of the everyone coming into the league, everyone was saying it's going to be one of the worst 2 teams in the league. And then, but they turn around and they beat a tough Seattle Seahawks team at home. And now, they got a week off. So he'll be better than he was. He's starting to move around in the pocket a little bit. That's something we saw in the last 2 games where he's able to slide. And, he has this uncanny knack for being able to sense pressure before a lot of other quarterbacks do. So he can step up or slide out, move around in the pocket. He's able to do that again. As far as 100%, I don't know. I think he's getting near, the upper 80s, 90%, which is better than whatever he was to start. But I'm excited. A week off, it's a big deal. It's a good thing. So I hope so. I'll just say I hope. That's a really long answer. I don't know.
Hey, I'm totally fine with it. Obviously, you don't want to speculate, but in hindsight, they started out 0-2 anyways. Maybe just sitting him for the 2 weeks might have been the best thing, and maybe he would have been 100% earlier. That Seattle win, I think, was a huge one for the Bengals. So Seattle's a good team, man, and they're starting to really show out defensively. They're starting to put things together, and I think for the most part, it is a good roster. So to get that win going into a bye week, I think is big for the Bengals. But now they come out of the bye week and they play a 49ers football team on a short week. I think they kind of got the advantage going into this one. I know that it's a road game, but coming out of a bye, that's a good spot to be. So let's talk about that O-line for just a second, though, because you did touch on it. Is that O-line improved? Another guy that was brought in who, Lyle Collins was supposed to be the right tackle of the future. That never panned out. I don't even think he's still on a team. He got cut.
He was released,
some injury issues with his back or what have you. But either way, is that O-line actually improved in your opinion?
I think it is. So it's the same thing that happened last year is they brought in Ted Karras, Alex Kappa, and La'el Collins. They brought those guys in last year. It's a lot of money to spend to completely revamp the offensive line. They drafted a guy to play left guard, and the only offensive lineman they were keeping was Jonah Williams. Jonah Williams struggled last year. They moved him to right tackle. They cut La'el Collins. They brought in Orlando Brown Jr., which might be the biggest free agent signing they've had in a long, long time.
Yeah.
It is better, but for the second year in a row, the starting offensive line didn't take any snaps in the preseason. And just like last year, they kind of came out. They had in the first 2 weeks, they had in the first few weeks, week 1, they had Myles Garrett, who's just going crazy, which you guys saw that. So they had Myles Garrett in week 1, So they're starting to gel a little bit more now, but it also did not help them at all that Joe Burrow was playing with concrete shoes in the first couple weeks where he just could not move. It looked like Carson Palmer out there. Carson Palmer was terribly immobile. So, but I think that as they kind of get things, they're back there in the swing of things. They're back playing. They're I think that they'll come out. I'm hoping they'll come out and they'll look much better. So.
Yeah, most certainly. Now, you guys did pay Joe Burrow in the offseason, but another one that's looming is the Jamar Chase situation. Now, it's interesting because it's not just Chase. Like, you can't pay everybody. Eventually,
Right.
somebody's got to go. So, Chase is going to be there. Like, I can't see Chase going anywhere. But what do they miss out because of that? Is Higgins gone? Like, what is your gut feeling on the future of Chase and what that means maybe for roster construction down the stretch here?
Yeah. So with Chase, I think Chase and Justin Jefferson are probably 1 and 2 best 2 wide receivers in the league. Yeah. With his history with Burrow and with what they've been able to do and what Chase is on pace to do this year. I mean, it's crazy what he's being able to do. I think that Chase will get extended. They got 2 years. Next year he'll be eligible to be extended. I'm sure they'll exercise his 5th-year option. He's going to be one of the highest paid, if not the highest paid wide receiver in the NFL. And I would have loved, heading into the offseason, I would have said, maybe Burrow takes a team-friendly deal. Nope, that didn't happen. So yeah, keeping Chase means that you sacrifice Higgins. And that's unfortunate, but there's not many teams that have 2 number 1 wide receivers, and it's a luxury while we have it. I'm hoping that they can use it to, help make, pay off big dividends or whatever this year. But yeah, my guess is that maybe Higgins is tagged, maybe. And if not, he walks. If they struggle, or if they lose this weekend, and I mean, the trade deadlines, I don't know if they lose this weekend. I doubt they trade him because it's still pretty early. But yeah, I think that the idea is they're going to keep Chase, and that just means Higgins is probably gone. Boyd's gone. That's a done deal. So, yeah. But my guess is that, and I think wide receiver, it's a easier position to replace than a lot of other ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not that there's just a Higgins replacement sitting around somewhere, but if you have to choose between the two of them, you got to go with Chase. So
yeah, tag and trade too. I mean, you can still tag T. Higgins and trade him. That can always work out in your favor. The other thing too that I think a lot of people forget when you pay an elite quarterback, if you feel like you have an elite quarterback and they're young, then you have the luxury of kicking their money back and really freeing up a ton of cap space. You saw Cleveland do that this year with Deshaun Watson. Now, Deshaun Watson is not Deshaun Watson of old, but either way, because he has so much guaranteed money, they kick the can down the road. They free up $50 million in cap space just like that. Right. And that's something you can do with Burrow as well. Sure. It's something that you've seen the Chiefs do. It's something that you watched Tom Brady do his whole career. So there are ways to finagle it. If they really wanted to make it happen, maybe they could, they would have to take a hit somewhere eventually, but maybe they can keep those two together if they really feel like that's something they want to do. So we'll see what happens with them. But man, Chase this is the first legit number 1 receiver that the 49ers are facing all year. And we'll see how it goes. It's not just Chase, it's Higgins as well. Higgins might be the second best receiver they've faced all year, but the secondary is in question right now in San Francisco. And now they've got 2 guys coming to town, really 3 in Boyd. It's like, okay, we're going to figure out what you're made of, and we're going to figure it out real soon. So curious to see how this whole thing plays out.